Recently, the people of India are well familiar with the term nepotism, and it is much discussed term today. And we are well aware that nepotism is quite bad, a tendency, a selfish tendency of human beings, and especially a negative tendency, a selfish tendency and instinct of mankind, and those especially of those influential persons who give favoritism and give privilege to the member of his family or her family, or a person whom he likes or whom she likes. And it is a bad tendency, because this tendency, as it is prevalent in India in various fields, like the film industry or music industry, in the field of politics, or in the field of sports, and also in the corporate world, favoritism unduly shown or given to the persons who are linked to one's own family. It's bad, because in this way we keep a deprivation and deprive those budding talents and ambitious persons who came from outside and try to enter in a new world, and as they become a prey of nepotism, they fall into huge disappointment, and sometimes these disappointments lead them to depression, and this depression lead them to commit suicide. And in this respect, nepotism should never be encouraged, because nepotism is a hindrance to the smooth going development of any industry, of any field of work, like the field of politics and field of corporate world, the field of company work and the field of production work, and also the field of music and film industry, and also in the field of sports and camps. In America, in the USA, there is criminal statute. It is, nepotism is considered a criminal case, and there is a criminal statute, administrative statute against it, and federal civil law has provision to judge the cases of nepotism. But in India and in such countries like India, there is no provision of treating it as unfair and illegal, and that's why we sadly find those budding talents face it a hard situation to enter into a new world. When a person who is very ambitious and he tries to enter into the world of politics, he is just given a kick, and it disappoints him. It gives him a very unfair experience, a bitter experience, and he falls in disappointment, and sometimes he goes away from this world, and he goes back to his own place. This is the bad effect of nepotism. Nepotism should never be encouraged, and the origin of this word is French or Latin. In Latin it is called nepotismo, and in French it is called nepotisme. And nepotism is English word, and it has got its background from the origin of French and Latin. And actually this word is linked to nephews. When the ecclesiastics, the bishops, the Catholic churches, bishops of Catholic churches, they're given position to their own nephews in the church, it was called nepotism. So the origin of this word is linked to Christianity, Christian church and ecclesiastic background, and today it has got its domain. It has got its domain in other fields. So nepotism should never be encouraged, and when it is prevalent, people working in a field, they develop a sense of injustice, a sense of anger, a sense of disappointment, and a chaos is created when they feel that nepotism is shown to some particular person, privilege is given to some particular person in their own field, and agitation is very common when nepotism is ostensible. And that's why the civilized persons treat it as uncivilized practice by those influential persons who tries to push their own family members, the relatives, sons and daughters to their own field, in spite of having greater merit and talent. Some budding talents are given a push or given a kick so that they can enter into this world, and that's why the persons who get privilege are satirized and mocked at in terms like nepo kids, etc. And nepotism is in our time should never be encouraged, because everybody has the right to work and fulfill his or her desire, to stand in his own feet and show what feat he has or what talent he or she has in him. He has every right to show the world what talent she has got in him or her, or what he or she is trying to do and show to the people of the world. And if he is given the due treatment or the opportunity, instead of giving undue opportunities to some favored persons like one's own family members and relatives, it is it's fair, it's good for that field also. And when we find that a person becomes a prey of nepotism, we feel sorry for him or her, but there is nothing in our hand, because some industry, some field of work like politics and sports and their company, corporate world, it is in the hand of some influential persons. But it must be remembered, it must be noted that unfair entrance is easy, but talent says the last word. Talent speaks the last word. If a person, after trying hard, gets a position in a world, in a particular world, and if he is talented, then he can show to the world what he or she is. And on the opposite side, when a person who is not so much talented gets a position after getting favoritism and privilege, undue privilege and support and patronage, he will not stand in the long run, because talent speaks the last word. And we have found many cases, we have got lots of examples and instances where those persons, not so much talented, mediocre persons and substandard persons who gets chance with a prop, with the help of nepotism, ends his or her journey in the midway, and people soon forgets him or her. That's why, though nepotism is helpful at the time of entry, but it is not that so much powerful a help that will lead him lifelong in a lifelong way, or lead him to every field, or lead him to the last, or it will give success to every step. Talent will give a person success in every step, whether he is from outside or he is from inside. Nepotism is bad in the sense that at the time of entry, outsiders face a hard situation when the star kids, the siblings, the spouses, the relatives gets easy access to any field, in the field of any industry, in the field of sports, politics, in the field of corporate world. So nepotism is very limited in its scope. It is not so much powerful as we think, and it must be remembered that those talented persons who are not linked to a particular industry, or whose forefathers were not linked to any particular industry or any particular field of work, they should remember that talent speaks the last word, and tenacity, struggle, perseverance will give him the final success. And nepotism is the teething trouble, and nepotism is the starting trouble. If he or she overcomes this starting hurdle and tries and goes on in his way undaunted, he will get the credit in the end. Nepotism will not finish his life. So those persons, those talented budding talents, those ambitious persons who are daunted, who are hindered, who are kicked in the beginning of their life, should not fall into disappointment, or should not fall into depression, and should not end their life by committing suicide, etc., because the final word will say whether he is talented or not. So nepotism, though unfair, uncivilized, selfish a tendency, will not speak the last word, and it should be remembered by every person who are trying to enter into a world quite unknown and very new to them.